Hi everyone, welcome to the Finance Story Career Insight series. With the implementation of corporate tax in the UAE, many tax professionals are keen to enter the market. They're keen to understand how is the market taking shape, how can they discover new roles, and what's the kind of career growth and compensation that they can expect. So to help us answer all of these questions, we have with us Piyush. So Piyush moved to Dubai in 2017 when VAT was just introduced. He quit his Big Four tax role in Ahmedabad, India, and started with a leading tier one tax firm in Dubai. So today he's an associate director focused on indirect taxes at TMSL. And to answer all your questions about how can you move here, what's the market like, Piyush is the right person because if you're planning a move right now, he did the exact same move in 2017 when VAT was introduced. So Piyush, thank you so much for joining us and really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, Piyush, and everyone joining in, if you have any questions, please type in your questions and we'll be happy to address. Piyush, can you take us a little back to your career and tell us how did you start your career in India? How did tax happen? Why only, a career focused on taxation? Could you rewind a little bit?
Yeah. Thank you first of all for having me here in the show and giving a little bit of background of how tax happened. When in 2014 when we got qualified and I became a chartered accountant. At that point of time, there was a government change from India perspective also, and we could also gauge that worldwide 160 countries have already implemented kind of taxes. India was also in a way moving from the existing tax regime to the new regime, which was completely, merging all the states and union taxes and coming up with GST. With that mindset, I thought particularly that tax would be a right field for the years to come. For the next couple of years, there would be boom in tax, particularly in India and the other parts of world which are not so exposed to tax at that point of time in 2014. And before that, also when I started my articleship, my focus always remained in the field of tax with the mindset that okay, but tax is something which is more interesting, which keeps us engaged from client perspective also, and it also helps the economy to grow if we do it the right way.
Amazing. So, tax was the plan right from the beginning. It just didn't happen. It was always the strategy.
Yes.
Amazing, amazing. So, Piyush, how did you start your career in India post qualifying? You qualified in 2014. So, how did it, flow from there?
Okay. So post qualification, I joined a firm called ENY, Ernst and Young, in Bangalore, and I was working there as a consultant, working on various clients in the field of again indirect tax specifically. Thereafter, moved when GST got introduced or was about to be introduced in 2017. I moved to a place called Ahmedabad, again focusing on GST and helping many large organizations doing the GST implementation. And during that time itself, when India was implementing GST from 1st July 2017, many tax professionals also saw GCC as an opportunity, like me, because GCC was new to tax. GCC had a common agreement signed in November 2016, between six countries, be it Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Oman, Qatar, Kuwait, and UAE, that they would also implement a common indirect tax system, which is called as VAT. And that's why the UAE thing happened. So from Ernst& Young, I moved to a firm, boutique tax firm called Dhruva, and thereafter TMSL.
Amazing. So Piyush, like, tell us how did because see there are a lot of people right now, okay, who want to move to the UAE, to want to move to Saudi because there's a buzz first of all in the Middle East, right? It's growing exponentially well compared to rest of the world, and especially with regard to UAE, many tax guys in India, from the Big Four especially, want to move here, right? So first of all, what was your journey moving here? How did you discover, like, Dhruva is a leading tax firm, even in Dubai, right? So, how did you discover the firm? What was your process of joining them? And what was your checklist? So, take us through the entire process.
If I have to talk about two, three, four key things which anyone can would think of by while moving the country, because it is a country shift, city shift. Many of us would still be doing, day in day out in India also, but it's a country shift. So the factors which were in mind is a kind of market which would be growing from the service offerings from the field which we are into, right? So Middle East fits perfectly in that, and more so from UAE and Saudi perspective. It again fits perfectly in that because they are diversifying the economy. Saudi is opening up, more so on a daily basis in terms of economy, right? So that was one key aspect. Second is GST was introduced in India in 2017, and right now, if we see 5 6 years, well, there are complications, but there are other parts of the world which are going to introduce tax system for the first time. Namely, Kuwait and Qatar have not yet implemented VAT. So these two could be the markets going forward for tax professionals if they want to move afresh from indirect tax point of view. And look at the scenario like, in 2017, when I was thinking of moving, again, there was an introduction of tax happening at one location, in the world, which was UAE and Saudi Arabia, two locations, right? And you will find many such opportunities in the world, other than India also, wherein people would want to think through, say whether the country is stable, it has the growth opportunities, and then can move. And the same kind of situation is also happening in UAE now because of the introduction of corporate tax.
Amazing. Would you want to highlight a little bit about Qatar and Kuwait? I mean, what's happening there and what are the opportunities that can unfold as well?
From VAT or indirect tax point of view, I can just say one thing. In November 2016, when a common agreement was signed by all the six GCC countries, in a way, based on that agreement, only the rest four countries, be it UAE or Saudi Arabia, came live with VAT on 1st of January 2018. Then came Bahrain from 1st of January 2019 in phased manner, and thereafter on somewhere April 2021, Oman also implemented VAT based on that particular agreement only. So we do see in the next couple of months or years to come forward, Kuwait and Qatar would also go live in terms of their VAT commitments, or in terms of introducing VAT in their particular jurisdiction, so that the common GCC agreement can also come hold good.
Amazing. You know, I agree with you because I know a lot of people are looking at Qatar and a lot of firms are looking at Qatar as to hire a lot of candidates. So that's amazing. Cool. So Piyush, now come back to your journey. Okay, how did you discover a role here? We understood that why UAE. Okay, that's why is done. Okay, but how did you find an opportunity? You were a senior tax consultant from what I see at EY, right? So, how did you discover this role? Because we get so many CVs from people saying, and I'm sure even you must be getting so many CVs, right? So, what is the process of finding an opportunity? What do firms like you look for in candidates? That's another part.
Okay, I'll break this question in two parts. One is, what do we see? How do we approach? If we have to approach, any company, or we want to apply for any jurisdiction, say in UAE, how do we start with that? First would be that, in case, let's take an example of UAE. LinkedIn is one such platform which gives you immense opportunity by way of forwarding your CV to many connections. Second, most important aspect from UAE perspective, if I'll talk, reach out to your friends or connects who are already in UAE, and through them you can reach out to a multiple companies in UAE itself, wherever there would be opportunities. I'm sure the friends or connects would be able to forward your CV over there, and thereafter the things can move much quicker.
Okay, that's amazing. But how did you discover your first role? You know, what was your process of discovering your first role?
So when I was looking for an opportunity in UAE, I reached out to my seniors who were there in Big Four at that point of time. They had some sort of references or connections, so they referred me, and based on that, I got interview calls and got selected. And thereafter, I've also seen, it is not always necessary that you have to know someone in UAE. Even if you're aware about Indian companies who have some sort of presence in UAE, you can also reach out to them, that in case they have some openings in UAE, one can explore that. Point number two, people who are in a multi-locational firm, say Big Fours or other such firms, they can also try and apply for intergroup transfer, or the internal transfer, which they can easily go ahead with, because that would be more flexible and more convenient for them.
Okay, amazing. So you basically connected to a senior, and you got a couple of opportunities, and that's how you selected your first firm. It's as
Yes.
simple as that. Okay, so you got an opportunity from India itself, or you moved here, to look for opportunities.
From India itself. Whenever, so as a process, whenever there's a new opportunity because of the introduction of tax, at that point of time, many companies would be okay to hire someone from, say, India or other part of the world, even if not in UAE, because the opportunity itself is new. But if I'll talk about now VAT as a market is in a way getting to be matured, right? Any
Yeah.
company which would want to look someone who is already in UAE,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that is how they will decide it. Point number two here is that also be careful about the fact that there are so many remote location works which are getting generated nowadays. The people who have got their presence in UAE would also want to hire in India and to support them from compliance perspective or from work perspective. So a kind of experience in India on those taxes could also help you in your CV when you build it, to say that I've already worked in UAE taxes, I've worked in KSA taxes, but I was in India at that point of time, and now I want to relocate to the respective location.
That's
So
a
that
great tip.
after 2020, we have seen so many firms going remote also. So they have got presence in these parts of the world like UAE, Saudi Arabia, but they've also got a sizable presence in say India or other Asian nations, right? So
Yep.
they could also be approached. Experience could be gained, so that in your CV, when you forward your CV, it would certainly be like that you have the relevant UAE experience which is required,
Amazing.
and that could
Amazing.
give you a competitive edge over others when people want to apply afresh and not have any kind of background in UAE taxes or KSA taxes.
Okay, okay. So Piyush, now can you tell us like what is the what similarities do you see, in the hiring in corporate tax, because corporate tax is new. I know a lot of hiring happened in 2022, but what are the similarities that you see right now in 2023, that you saw back in 2017, 2018 when you just moved here with VAT?
I see a better opportunity now because of the introduction of corporate tax. Because what has happened, VAT, if I'll have to talk, there could be organizations who would believe that VAT ultimately may not be their cost. It is the cost of consumer, right? So maybe they will hire a consultant, maybe they will hire an in-house resource, right, and move ahead with the implementation of VAT. But corporate tax being a direct hit, uh, in the P&L of the company, they would want to either go to an expert in terms of consultants like us, or they would want to hire an in-house tax expert, which can help them to deal with corporate tax to make sure that they are paying the right liability as and when it is due. That is why the opportunity right now is more immense at a company level, and also from tax professional level. Also, the opportunity is immense.
Okay, okay. So do you see a lot of hiring also going to, happen at all levels this year? Like, what are you seeing, at TMSL, what are you guys seeing? What is your perspective when you interact with clients, with other people, in the tax, your other colleagues in the tax world? So what's the sentiment?
I'll not say for all the levels the hiring would be on right now at any point of time. I would still say that any company, any sizable company which are looking tax seriously would want to have at least one or two to start with tax experts in their team. And India, we have seen a kind of tax team being separate in many organizations. That this is our tax team, this is our accounts team, this is a finance team. That way, in UAE, we may see a kind of a consolidated team which would be coming under the finance group. And in the finance team itself, there would be a guy from tax, there would be a guy from accounts, there would be a guy from overall finance perspective. So there are opportunities, but you cannot say that every company would need 5 to 10 tax guys. They may, if the operations are less or it is not so sizable, they would still need at least a guy to help them from tax perspective.
Okay, so Piyush, this is some great information. So, like on a daily basis, you, me would be receiving so many CVs. Okay, most of them are excellent CVs, because now like the experience people have in India right now is not, from communication skills to the work, everything is great, but the market has only so much to offer. Correct. So, what would you tell those folks, are looking for opportunities? Like, what do they do? How do they approach the organization? Okay, and how do they approach the market? What market, if somebody is open, say outside of the UAE as well, should they start approaching the other markets as well? Like, can you just really tell us the step by step process to so many of them who would benefit from this?
Okay, let me break this question as well. First
Yep.
is, in case anyone is open to other markets other than UAE, then Saudi Arabia is again a good market to be in. Qatar and Kuwait, when they introduce VAT, that could be the right time for anyone to move to Gulf. And once, because ultimately 6 countries would come on board and have a kind of a common VAT structure or system, right? Once they have got that relevant experience of say Qatar or Kuwait, that point of time one can think of moving to UAE. This is step number one in order to segregate it, right? Second is directly moving to UAE. In that also, I will say that there are so many courses available right now in India itself, wherein you can get trained in UAE taxes, get trained in say UAE VAT or UAE CT, and then build your CV accordingly so that you have competitive edge over all others who have not done such course, and then move ahead in the market with full preparation. Because there would be two aspects which would be considered for any organization to hire. First is whether you are based in UAE or not, which for people who are not in UAE would go in a way negative, right? But second would be whether you have relevant experience of working on UAE taxes. The answer could be yes, or maybe because of the experience which you have got by training. So that could also help, build your CV in a positive manner and to go ahead with the hiring process.
Okay, a lot of finance, because a lot of hiring is happening for taxation, corporate taxation. So a lot of auditing, a lot of finance folks, want to get into taxation. So they're just sending their CVs and they're like, "Hey, I'm ready to start in tax." You think that's a good approach? Like, does that make sense?
In a way, it depends on individual to individual. But from my perspective, I'll say if there's something in your CV which is related to tax and tax also relevant to the GCC tax, that would be always preferred, because there are multiple levels. If you are from India, day in day out you would be working on tax. There's no doubt about it, right? But then post India, if you have to add your CV, it should be GCC tax at least, say Saudi Arabia or Bahrain or Oman. Post that also, if you have done some sort of course in UAE VAT or UAE CT, that would also add more value. So preference wise, if I'll have to prefer someone who already have got some experience from UAE taxes point of view.
Okay, okay. Piyush, how is like you? Can you tell us a little bit about your firm, TMSL? Okay, what is your firm all about, and how are you guys hiring, and what's happening? Also, you were earlier at a Big Four, then you were at a Tier One firm. So how did you decide on your career in the UAE? Like, what was your decision of joining this firm? Like, this would help a lot of people who want to make similar decisions.
Right. So first is giving a short intro on what is TMSL all about. TMSL stands for Tax Technology Managed Services. We are a boutique tax firm which is only and only focused on tax. So there could be firms who would be doing auditing service, who would be giving auditing services, accounting or bookkeeping services, other virtual CFO services and all others, conventional services which any CA firm could provide. But we are focused, only and only in the field of tax. And in the field of tax, you can ask us anything. It could be tax technology, it could be managed services, it could be tax structuring or litigation. All the four vertical is something which we cover with pride. And a team of 70 to 80 plus tax experts
Wow.
working globally. The vision is to have a global tax firm, and that is why we have already based in UAE. We are based in UAE. And we are also based in a couple of cities in India, like Mumbai, Pune, Bangalore, Ahmedabad, and NCR, Delhi NCR. We have got a presence over there, and the intention is to basically recalibrate the tax using technology.
Okay, amazing. Would you want to emphasize a little more on what is on a little bit of technology in taxation? Can you elaborate a little bit on that aspect?
Sure. The kind of taxes we have, nowadays, it becomes for a large multinational also. It becomes humanly difficult to manage those taxes in few Excel files, right? Because the data would run in lakhs of transaction, fields. In that case, the technology comes handy. The kind of RP solutions which we have created, you can basically see whether your vendor have filed GST returns or not on timely basis, whether your vendor has been delisted from the GST and network or not, right? Whether your 26 years, which is shown the TDS which has been deducted, whether it is reflected in your 26 years or it is only reflecting in your ledger. So wherever you believe there's a pain area, from tax point of view, and from finance point of view, we have got the capabilities to automate it by way of RP solutions.
Amazing, amazing. So you basically moved from a proper advisory kind of a profile, okay, to a profile where you do similar kind of work, but with where you're heavy on technology. Technology plays a very key factor on all the kind of services you're providing.
I'd say it's a mix of both. While tax technology is one major angle to it, but the
Yep.
conventional tax practice, be it compliances or be it managed services, there are companies nowadays, the startups nowadays, they don't want a separate tax team. They would want to hire us only to do all their tax compliances, right? To assist them in tax compliances. So kind of managed services would also be done. Litigation is again such area. GST tribunal got, they gave the approval of GST tribunal very recently. So litigation is again one such area which may have less technology involved, but more of more of work to do humanly. So that is also possible. All the fields, it could be technology for larger organizations who want to automate their processes in the field of tax or finance. It could be normal compliances if anyone wants to have tax advisory and the litigation aspect.
Amazing. So Piyush, do you all have any other competitors, say in the UAE, who are doing something similar, or you because it's tax with technology? Is it like you guys are one of the earlier adopters of this concept?
We are blessed to be one of the earliest.
Wow, that's
And
amazing. I
knowing
mean,
one more fact over here for the viewers also, that UAE is also coming up with e-invoicing. Saudi Arabia has already gone live with e-invoicing. So what we have seen in India in terms of taxation change and then coming up with e-invoicing, e-way bill and all, we have also seen Saudi Arabia going the same way and adopting e-invoicing system. And UAE also have the same plan of in a way adopting e-invoicing. So the more and more professionals becomes technology friendly in the field of tax, the better it is for all of us.
amazing. So Piyush, so if I'm a tax person, okay, and you want to guide me as to how I can become technology friendly, I could be in advisory, compliance, litigation. So what would you tell me? What would be my first step to start?
I'll say start with only one small thought process in your mind, that whatever is taking too much of your time, can that be automated in the field of tax? As simple as that. That when you prepare your tax returns and it is running in thousands of line items, do you want to automate it? Once you start automating it, you will realize that you are focusing more on the strategy level discussions in the field of tax and less on the compliance level, because it can be any which ways automated.
Amazing.
So that
So
could be the start.
that's okay. Okay. So, when VAT happened, okay, there was, and now when corporate tax is happening, there's a lot of hiring happening. So, do you think at different levels, a lot of processes in VAT has been automated and now it will be automated in taxation as well? So, what is, if you can just compare and tell us what can happen?
I'll restrict myself to GCC in this way, because India
Yeah.
has gone a much step ahead in terms of technology. GCC
Yep.
also, I believe there are processes which are getting automated, from VAT point of view also. And with the introduction of CT, there are so many processes which can be automated. So one should look into it, because when you see the long story from any organization's perspective, the more this is automated, the more it is reviewed by tax expert, the better the compliance level of the company and the better the credibility also.
Amazing, amazing. So, Piyush, can you tell us about, I know this is towards the end. I should have asked you this in the start. Okay, can you tell us a little bit about the UAE tax? UAE tax perspective. What are the taxes? A little bit. So those watching would get an idea.
Understood. Okay, so first is UAE had customs historically. In before 2017, also custom was live. And let me share a fact here. Again, custom is common between all the six GCC countries. So they have a common custom system between all the six GCC countries, right? Thereafter came, in 2017 they introduced VAT. They came up that on 1st of January 2018 we will come live with VAT. But before that, also they have introduced excise tax. Now, excise in India, we are known that it has something to do with manufacturing and all. But
Yep.
excise in Gulf has something to do with carbonated products, tobacco products, all those sin goods which are considered as sin goods, right? On those, excise tax is levied. The rate in UAE ranges from 50% to 100% on the products, particularly in the field of in excise tax. And the VAT rate is simpler; it is 5%, right?
Okay.
Thereafter, after the introduction of excise and VAT, they came up with other regulatory aspect to basically increase the compliance level for the organizations in UAE, which were ESR, Economic Substance Regulation, AML, Anti-Money Laundering regulations, UBO also, and then we have seen the introduction of corporate tax, which got, I think, in December 2022 they came up with the law, and 1st of June 2023 they went live with the law. And the good part, if I have to say, that rather than imposing it on one particular day for all the companies, they have done it on a phased manner. So what they have done is, for any companies whose financial year starts on or after 1st June 2023, it would be applicable only on that particular financial year. So think of a
Okay.
company who starts,
Yep.
say, on 1st of October 2023. So
Yep.
they don't have to pay the taxes from 1st June to 1st or 30th of September. They will have to pay the corporate tax for the income which they will be earning from October 23 to September 2024. In India, we follow financial year as April to March. In UAE, it is very flexible, depending upon the company.
Amazing. And this is some great insights. Also, Piyush, like what has been the impact on smaller businesses here, SMEs, with regard to, especially corporate tax? Like, what is the feedback that you're getting? Because from what I understand, I could be wrong. The SMEs are the largest, right, over here, correct? Almost, and they're pushing it to be almost 1 million now. So, what has been the impact, and how significant is compliance going to be? And what is? Can you take us through each segment?
Here, I would want to first appreciate the tax authorities in UAE, particularly because the decision, whatever the decision which they have taken, it has been keeping SMEs also in mind. So there are so many factors which basically relieves the SME from the corporate tax. One is that they have given the threshold that if you don't have your net profits, up to 375,000 dirhams, which is approximately, if I have to talk in INR views, if you have approximately 80 lakh rupees of net profit in the year, then you don't have to pay any corporate tax. It would be 0% for you. Second is they've also come up with small business relief, that if you have your turnover which is 3 million, again for the viewers, if it is 6 crore approximately in INR terms, if your turnover is up to that level, again you can claim small business relief from the tax authorities, and there won't be any corporate tax on you. But what is important for all of us to know here, and also for the SMEs to know here, is that compliance is required. The registration is required for every license holder in UAE. You will have to take corporate tax registration. You will have to be mindful about the related party transactions which you do, because there could be some transfer pricing angle to it which you have to think through and then apply accordingly, right? So these are the factors. SME have got enough avenues within them also to see whether the corporate tax is applicable to them or not. The UAE tax authorities have done their needful in order to protect the SMEs also, so as they have given the threshold of 375,000 dirhams from net profit perspective, and then coming up with 9% corporate tax rate. 9% again, would be one of the lowest rate in Southeast Asia for sure.
Okay, that's amazing. So, so Piyush, I would also like to go back to your career, right? You moved here in 2017, 2018, that was introduced. Okay, so how has been this growth phase for you? For a lot of people who are considering the UAE, what kind of growth can they expect? If you were in India, would you be at a similar growth pace, or it's not right to compare? So, how it has helped you in a way?
I think it is not right to compare India and UAE that way, because while India introduced GST in 2017, and they are making changes in the regime now also by coming up with new notification circulars every now and then. And GST Council, last week I think 52nd GST Council meeting was held, right? So there are updates regularly from GST perspective. And UAE, I think I was fortunate to come UAE, come to UAE in 2017, and thereafter we have seen lot many introduction of taxes like excise, VAT, and other regulatory aspects like ESR, UBO, AML, and now corporate tax. So because of that, the growth path could also differ. So it would be difficult to compare between India and UAE. But I'll say, whichever location you choose, be it Saudi, UAE, or India, the growth in the field of tax is going to remain for the coming years too.
It's just going to soar, right? It's going to really increase. Okay. So Piyush, would you also want, before we take questions, would you also want to address on the compensation? Because a lot of people say, hey, what is the right salary to move in over here? What should they consider? You can just give broad figures, and also any benchmark, like when you moved in here. So a lot of people, they are freshers and they send their CVs and they say, I expect 20K, right? Now, of course, 20K companies cannot pay 20K, right? But they're like, hey, the cost of living is so high. But so what is your what point would you tell them?
Sure. So one is again the salary which the compensation which we get in India and the compensation which we get in UAE would differ for obvious reasons based on currency difference and all. Point number one. Point number two, in India, maybe it is pretty easier for us to compare. If we take example of Big Four and all, we know that okay, at this level this much salary is something which is within the band. At senior manager level, this could be the salary. At manager level, this could be the salary. Again, depending on the location, it is very much easily available to us to compare ourselves. In UAE, this would differ from Big Fours, within Big Fours also, and then it could differ from Big Four to Tier 2 firms, and it could also differ from Tier 2 firms to SME. So the range, it would be very difficult to give a range for that, because a fresher chartered accountant may be hired at say 6,000 dirhams, and still the fresher chartered accountant would be able to manage the cost of living in UAE. Or there could be chartered accountants or tax professionals who could be earning in 5 digits. So
Okay.
that is the range. And what I have experienced, again, a personal experience, that you get 10,000 dirhams, or that would also not be less. Or if you earn 100,000 dirhams in UAE, that could
Yep.
be less also. So the
Yep.
kind of lifestyle which UAE offers, nothing is less or more over there.
Amazing. So your advice is to those who are moving and getting opportunities, okay? Not at an extremely low salary, but at not 20K or something. Say, 10K or 12K
It's
if
important to get an entry. It's important to get an entry. So in case there are some bottlenecks in terms of compensation, one should still go ahead and see if one is looking very positively from UAE perspective, should start afresh from UAE. And once anyone is there, then the local knowledge of market would also help to understand what kind of expenses one is having, and then what kind of salary one is expecting.
Okay, so your suggestion is it's a good market. They should leverage it. They should leverage this time. It's a great opportunity that's going to open up for those who move here right now.
Yes.
Okay, okay, and it's not only restricted to the UAE, but it's going to be for other GCC regions. So it
Other
will.
GCC nation also, and over and above that, people who would want to move to Europe eventually, right? GCC
Yeah.
could be their first step.
Okay, okay, that's
So from
amazing.
India to Europe could be still difficult, but from India to GCC to Europe would be, I think, you would be one step closer to Europe in that case.
Okay, amazing. So now we'll just take a question from Lakshman. He says, could you please share the opportunities in finance roles in the UAE, mainly in private equity and management consulting, if you want to take this up?
Lakshman, I'll say, finance was always there before 2017 also. Tax is new, finance was always there. So LinkedIn would be one approach of approaching the companies. But second approach, which is more preferred, is look out for your connections which are already based in UAE. Share them your CV, and don't restrict yourself by only sharing the CV. Also, spend some time to talk to them about the opportunities so that they can refer you. And I'm sure, one person referring CV in 4 5 companies, and that way if you approach 4 5 of your references or connection, something would work out.
Amazing. So would you want to say anything specific with regard to the private equity? If I know you're in a totally different field, but would you have any knowledge on that aspect?
I'll say, particularly, DIFC is one area which is housing a lot of a lot of private equity, or financial BFSI clients would be housed in DIFC. Similar
Yeah.
kind of an opportunity is also there in Gift City in India, which is based in Gandhinagar, right? So, if one is not getting that opportunity in UAE or GCC nation, one can think of Gift City, and thereafter, by adding the relevant exposure, can think of moving to GCC. But otherwise, also DIFC, you can search about companies which are located in DIFC, and narrow down your target market. That could also help you out.
Amazing. So even Rashmi has the same question. So from what I feel, private equity, from what I understand, as you said, DIFC, ADGM, all of them are
Yes.
located there. But you'll have to be on the ground, okay, over here, in most cases, and you'll have to network because these are very closed markets. They are not like it's just open. They'll not just put an ad and it's open to everyone. Or you could probably look at recruiters, right?
Yes.
So recruitment firms, especially the UK ones, which are operating over here, so they have a lot of opportunities from what I see. Okay, so the next question is, what is the success ratio of getting a job from India versus Dubai on a visitor visa?
First, technical aspect of it, in case you are on visitor visa, I'll not be able to answer whether you can search for job on the visitor visa. So not answering on that aspect. But yes, one aspect is that if you are based locally, even if for 30 days or 90 days, your chances of getting job becomes better than being in India or other part of the world. If you are based in in UAE itself, and you are hunting for job, it could be much more easier.
Okay, so I can't say the person's name, but if they're looking at moving to the UAE, okay, they'll have to quit their job. So many of them feel, hey, that's a big risk. So have you seen a lot of your friends or colleagues, taking that leap and moving here and not regretting it? Like they find an opportunity.
I'll say, it is not advisable to do such thing, that you quit your job in India and then you move to UAE and then search for the job. I'll say, it is better to have one in hand and then quit.
Okay, but that's not very easy from what I see because companies, if they have a candidate who's locally available and ready to join in quickly and is good as you, they will choose the current candidate, right? Because everything here is like, I wanted to join fast. Have you observed that or it's just my observation?
Yes, I have observed it that companies would want to, hire immediately, but at the same point of time, losing out on the job in India or other part of the world and then coming to UAE searching for job. And let me also add one more aspect to, this particular discussion, that October to Feb or March is the period when the tourism would also grow. The companies are, more and more active, I'll say,
Yep.
and
Yep.
then the chances could be a bit more easier or better for you. And between April to September, there could be some Ramadan holidays. It is high time in summer also
Yep.
over there.
Yep.
So could be a bit, I'll say 5% difficult than, what it could be in October to March.
True that, true. So, I'll give you my take. Okay, from what I see, I would say yes, come on a visit visa. Okay, most people do look for opportunities. That's how it works. People come here on a visa and they look for opportunities. So, if you are a young, if you don't have any responsibilities, yes, it's okay to just quit and move. But if you have responsibilities, you've got a family,
Absolutely,
you've got
it
kids.
is risk and reward ratio. The more
Yep.
the risk you take, the better the rewards become.
Yep. And you have to give yourself 3 months. You can't get a job in 1 week. It's a very competitive market, but there are jobs as well. So people keep moving here, right? In this market, as you said, people will go to
One
Europe.
week, if someone is very lucky and fortunate, 1 week could be a possibility. But otherwise, the way you have highlighted, give decent time.
Yep, decent. Yep. Not 3 months, maybe at least a month. Yeah, at least a month and a half. So, yeah. Okay. So, Piyush, we have this question from Vibha. She says, with the introduction of corporate tax, do you foresee pushback in hiring and compensation levels by the corporates?
I'll not. But I think no. It's not something which the corporates would be doing, and I do believe that the hiring has just begun, while the corporate tax have gone live from 1st of June. But there are majority of the companies who would go live from say 1st of January, because they follow calendar year. Most of the companies would follow calendar year. Then there could be European based companies or Indian based companies which would be following say April to March.
Yep.
So this period from October to March is in a way kind of boom from hiring perspective also, particularly in the field of CT.
So you're saying the market has just started, right? Is the hiring has just started? Because I saw a lot of hiring happening last year. I mean, a lot of senior level.
And we
Yeah.
will see in the next 6 months also, a lot of hiring being done. At our we at firm level are also looking at few candidates, from tax perspective, and would be open to hire few.
Yeah, you can
Both.
share a little bit. What are you guys hiring? What are you guys looking for? What kind of candidates? Like people watching it can apply.
I would certainly share some details with you in the next few days to come, so that you can also post it.
Okay, done. So I'll wait for those details. Cool. So that's for Vibha. So Amir has this question: if I'm looking to enter the UAE for the first time, what would be the right industry, which will certainly have a high potential to offer roles?
I would suggest, Amir, one thing, that if you are already say you are already working in real estate industry, stick to that. Because your experience would count, right? And in case you want to start afresh, then real estate is in a way a very large sector in UAE point of view. Retail is a very large sector from UAE point of view. Tourism, hospitality sector is again a very large sector from UAE point of view. Oil and gas, for obvious reasons, is a very large sector. So these are the 4 or 5 key sectors which you can look into. But if you're already experienced in one sector, my personal opinion would be stick to that, because your experience certainly would count.
Okay, okay, amazing. So, Amir, I hope that has helped you. So, Piyush, anything else you think we should cover, for those who are either looking for opportunities, trying to understand the market, anything else that you would want to cover?
No, I would simply, if I have to summarize, people who want to move to UAE, they should think of getting trained rather than going, blank in terms of their CV. More from not from India tax perspective or local tax experience perspective, but also from GCC tax experience perspective. Get yourself trained, get yourself acquainted to the laws over there, and then only apply. Because once you apply, you get an opportunity to showcase your skill. That is the ultimate chance which you have. So you go better prepared rather than going unprepared. So that would be from my take, if I'll have to say.
Okay. And when it comes to VAT hiring in the UAE, okay, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of VAT hiring happening unless the same people are, moving from one place to another. But there's no additional huge hiring that has taken place in the last 1 year or so, right? From
But yes, with you on this, that okay, the VAT hiring could be less compared to what it was in 2017 or 2018. But the kind of economy, the way economy is growing right now, the more the business, the more the operations, the more the people which would be required. So even from tax point of view, what has happened earlier, few people migrated from other parts of the world, say in other Asian nations like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, or other parts of the world. And now people, if they want to hire, they would see someone is locally present or not, and that experience would certainly count. But at the same point of time, when they want to expand the team, someone would want to still see if someone is in India having a local UAE VAT knowledge by working remotely. That person could be preferred, because the more business, the better compliant they want to become, the better opportunity for us also.
Okay, so VAT hiring is also happening because I've only been talking about corporate tax in the last what do you say, few months, right? Because that's been the most active hiring from what I have seen. But you also see a lot of companies hiring for VAT professionals as well. That's
Yes, corporate tax is right now in a T20 mode that people want to hire very quickly because it is right up there, right?
yep.
But VAT is kind of a test cricket because it has already started in 2017. It has gone live in 2018. But now the companies would have also realized that only the accounts and finance guy may not be able to do the VAT work. It is getting complicated, right, to understand. So they would need some sort of expert. And when they need some sort of expert, either they will come to consultants, tax consultants, or they would hire in-house. So that is why that opportunity is going to remain.
Okay, so the opportunity is going to remain. So in short, all in all, it's a good market. If you're a good candidate, has have great exposure, understand the laws. It's not like, hey, you don't understand anything and you just want to be a it that won't work. So if you understand the laws, it helps, right?
Certainly. Yes.
Okay, cool, done. So I guess I have asked you a lot of questions and you've so generously answered each one of them. And I think we've addressed all the questions by others. So if you guys have any more questions, you can directly connect with Piyush. And Piyush, do tell us about the opportunities you're hiring for. I mean, I've circulated in our community. And yeah, I guess that's about it. So thank you
Thank
so
you
much for the
so much.
time. Thanks a lot. Means a lot. And it was very, very insightful. Like, really got a
Thank
good
you so much.
perspective.
Thank you, the finance story, also for covering us, and looking
Thank you.
forward for more such interactions in future. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Piyush. Thanks everyone for joining in. Thanks a lot. Take care.